Ooh, happy Wednesday. We're back outside. And when I say outside, it really just means live. All right, I'm making lunch and felt spiritually moved to jump on live and talk about a topic that a couple of y'all DM'd me about. So what's up, y'all? Happy Wednesday. How's it going? You know what I mean? I'm making myself a little lunchy. And I just felt so moved to talk about imposter syndrome, since that was something that has come up several times on end. And my thoughts. I even wrote some notes about it, so I actually can have a nice little talk track while I am multitasking and making a shrimp pizza. Yes, I'm a Pinterest girly. I've been on the internet, and I did this several times. It's not going to have a tomato taste, but that's not really out here. Yeah, so this is honestly just like in response to a question I had earlier this week. As mentioned, I am slowly but surely just trickling my way back over onto the internet since I've taken a little bit of a break from, at least a subtle break from social media, at least from content creation. And transparently, I'm still very much so working my way as a year one entrepreneur on how to create better systems around that. And so, you know, it's a process, right? And one of the things, like I said, one of the questions I had asked was just like, what are you guys focusing on in the month of August? What does that look like for you? And a question came up around imposter syndrome, which I thought to be so not interesting, but it's still one of those things where I feel like hasn't necessarily had a full hold, hasn't had like a full solution to it, or maybe a perspective on it. And I remember I have my own I have my own lens on how I address imposter syndrome, particularly for myself. And the first thing that I just recognize around imposter syndrome is that it never really goes away. And I think that once we kind of come to terms with the fact that it'll still be there, and for it to completely be ghost feels a little bit unrealistic, knowing these three things is the reason why I say imposter syndrome really got hands. Like it does in such a very big way. But I think once we come to terms with the fact that it won't really go away. It just transforms itself into different chapters in your career or in your life, or new transitions, new environments, etc. Those things, you're going through a level of discomfort. So the question of, can I do this, will naturally come up. Now, when it spirals and goes out of control based on your environment, is when it becomes a bigger issue. So if you're new here, I'm Bianca. Hey y'all. I'm a career coach and keynote speaker, and I really just focus on working with seasoned professionals that look to switch careers without taking a pay cut. I did it about 4 or 5 times without having to take a pay cut. Went from media, fashion, beauty, tech. And the reality of it is the way that you position yourself and your storyline, and what the story that you tell yourself is more important than you having to be over mentored or get an excessive amount of certifications. While they are helpful, but they help your confidence and your ability to communicate, but they may not necessarily be the thing that gets you the job if you can't prove or provide receipts or show some level of competency or results. So that's where I kind of come into my lane on why I truly adamantly believe that people can really like double, triple their income if they want to, and they do the results and they do the work and they find the market that's going to value their skills. Now, I say all that to say imposter syndrome. So naturally, if you are making a pivot, particularly over in your career, or you're just going through something different, you're just doing something different that's uncomfortable, the question really comes up of like, ooh, okay, can I do this? Oh my gosh, can I do this? And can I do this, especially if you are somebody that is generally the type of person that's a overachiever or doesn't like the optics of being incompetent in some way. There's a little bit more added pressure to your ability to be able to do it and talk yourself into doing it, and not realizing that you doing it and is very different from you being the person that can do it. And if you're predicating your success on just like your ability to do and not be the person, that's where imposter syndrome really starts to take a spiral. In my experience and observations, I'd like to give you that preface. But if y'all could hear me, ain't nobody really saying nothing. Nobody waved to me. Nobody said hi. Y'all rude. I said good morning. I said hello. Nobody said hi. I waved to every single one of y'all. Oh, I saw one wave. Bombshell, Laddie's World. Hey, dear. So no one says hi. I see that y'all got no home trainer manners. It's really cool. That's fine. It's probably why I got imposter syndrome. No, I'm just kidding. I'm in that case. So I say all that to say, it really doesn't change. The question comes up as to, can I do this? Especially if I don't have direct, perfect experience that ladders up to it, but it may feel similar. The question comes up. It comes up in, let's say for me, like me being in a completely afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you so much. It comes up in, let's say for me as an entrepreneur, right? I'm not supposed to say that out loud because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm an actual coach, but the reality is it's like we're all human beings. Like there are going to be new skills that we have to flex and we have to test into different environments that come up that make us question, okay, cool, like, can I do this? And if I can't, like, what am I going to be able to do? And if I keep looking at the way that I'm not able to do it, that's when you start to actually strengthen the muscle of imposter syndrome. Now, here's where I'm going to tell y'all about what to do, what my personal perspective and what I've been doing to combat imposter syndrome, which is drastic, but listen, it worked for me. So one thing about me, I'm going to turn up. Social engineering. So I actually do believe Kanye was right about one thing that he said in one of his videos way back when. I know everyone has a very mixed relationship with Ye. Not my business. I totally get it. And one of the things he said years ago was like, society will really try and control you with low self-esteem. And how like almost the idea of like you not saying what you're working on or not telling people what you want to do, because if you don't do it, then you look like a failure. And if you essentially look embarrassed for doing it, then you are in itself an imposter. You weren't able to land on it the first time. You weren't able to execute it over on the first time, not realizing that if we probably just need a really different definition of what failure looks like. But environmentally, even on social media, even in our respective groups, our upbringing, me, I'm Haitian, the one thing that my father has said to me over and time again, love that man to death, was like, I don't want you to fail. And when I did, it was just like, I didn't know what to do. And at least it was the perception of what I believe to be a failure. So I do think that there is, or not even think, I believe and truly understand that society and how we are brought up, a lot of it is to protect. I know the intention is to protect us, but socially the way that we reward people or the way that we address people is very much so in making sure that they don't fail, which is accurate, not realizing that sometimes the failure, and oftentimes more than not, the failure is where you get the lesson to be able to be courageous enough to do something again. If we don't get back up and do it again, it's because we have a fear of being perceived to be this imposter, or that we didn't do it, so why are you doing it again, right? And really oftentimes, it's the person that's able to get back up and do it over and over again and say F what everybody else has to say about it or think about it, that ends up being the person that everybody praises. But fear of being that person leading up to it is actually very much so the reason why I think imposter syndrome is perpetuated, and just society supports that. Look at cancel culture. You can't make one mistake without people dragging you and put, like, even TikTok. I love TikTok to death, but people be doing side-by-side stitches of people's mistakes, bring it up like, this you? And I'm like, listen, that's not healthy for people to actually want to go after their dreams if they don't have the right structures in place or they don't have the right support systems in place. So I actually do think that society has a lot to do with why imposter syndrome is something that a lot of us struggle with. We have been taught that if you are not able to land it the first time or the first couple of times, or you make a mistake publicly, or you know, don't get the results immediately, you're not amazing at your job, or you're not overachieving, etc., you're really not good enough. And that's just a lie. Like, it's a full-fledged lie. Okay? So there's that. That's one point that I've just noticed. And I'm actually even a lot more gentler with myself and with my people, and which is, human beings. That's not to say that you lack boundaries, but just with human beings in terms of understanding that people make mistakes, and it's a muscle that we are building up. So that's number one. The second piece of it is repeating the story and almost visualizing yourself failing or trying to avoid the failure is driving your imposter syndrome. And that's why imposter syndrome got hands. So the interesting thing about imposter syndrome is, first of all, side by side, let me make sure I'm actually making my dinner right, or my lunch right. The interesting thing about imposter syndrome is just like, I'm afraid that someone's going to, like, I don't know, see that I'm really not as strong or solid or valid as I thought I was, or I presented myself to be. And so that thought in itself is cyclical. And when you start to recycle the idea, you're literally training your body to become an imposter. Y'all get that? That was a bar. I'm going to write that down. Hold on. I'll write it down for myself if y'all don't like it. Okay? But literally, as you are starting to prevent, like, the more that you're trying to prevent yourself from being perceived to be an imposter, you're actually training your body to be an imposter. Ain't that the bullshit? That's the tea. You really are training your body. You're training your spirit. You're training your mind. You're training your brain to look for evidence that you are an imposter. It's called, like, Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins, Oprah, Joe Dispenza, I think that's his last name. All these, motivational speakers, scientists, psychologists, Jordan Peterson, etc. They say this, that it's called a reticular activating system. So when you set your, like, let's say, for example, right, you want to get a car. You want to get a Tessie, because you're Tessie in a bed. You're a Bessie in a Tessie, okay? You want to get a car, you got a Tesla, you want to get a Tesla, you want to get the Model 3, you want it in all black because you want to look like Batman, okay? Then you go outside, and then you notice all you see are Teslas, right? All you see is Teslas. Literally, it's just like, dang, everybody got a Tesla now, huh? Like, that's how it is. Like, you're literally projecting, because you signaled over to your brain that, like, yo, like, I want this. This is going to happen. This is something I'm setting my mind to. So now your brain is literally looking for evidence that it's yours. It can happen. It's in your world already. Like, especially with the spiritual side, the spirituality component of it, and how a lot of science is actually supporting spirituality, is you can literally train your brain to start to see evidence of the things that you want. So how is that any different? That if you are telling your brain, I don't want this, you're actually saying that you want this, because obviously, the world doesn't respond to negatives, right? But you're saying, I hope, I'm dealing with imposter syndrome. I don't want to be an imposter. I might be an imposter. But, now you're looking for evidence of all the mistakes, all the things that you've done wrong, all the things that you're uncomfortable with, all the ways that you show up and you start shrinking to the point where now people are treating you like, okay, well, like her or his energy is a little bit off. Maybe I should support them a little bit more because they feel uncomfortable. You're naturally training your body to be an imposter. So this repeating story that you have in your head about, I don't want to be an imposter, I don't want to be an imposter, I don't want to be an imposter, is actually just manifesting it over into reality. So I hope if there's anything you take away from this today, it's there, right there. And then it goes back over into the beginning piece I said, but I guess I'll double click on this even further, is the concept of your belief system, right? It's one thing to have, like, especially affirmations, right? I love affirmations, words of affirmations, but what was this woman's name? Louise Hay. Yes, Louise Hay. She said this real cool white woman too. But I think she passed away actually. She's a speaker and she talks about just like visualization, etc. And one of the things that she had mentioned was just like, people say, hey, I did, my affirmations this morning over with my journaling and my meditation. And she said, okay, how many did you do? And she'd be like, oh, I did 5. And it's just like, okay, great. But them 5 just got negated by the other 200 of the polar opposite affirmations that basically negated other. You can't have 5 positive words of affirmation with 200 negative. Because guess who's going to overpower? The negative. You just did 200 in your head like, damn, I'm done with that. I fucked that up. Like, I shouldn't have did this right. You literally unraveled your work by doing that. It's hot. Oh my God. Get the AC on over here in some like Caribbean kitchen job. But you literally unraveled all of your work. Okay, now it's too loud. I can't hear nothing. I can't hear my thoughts. What the hell? You literally unraveled all your work by doing almost, I would say, even like the bare minimum as it pertains to trying to reset your mindset, talk to yourself nicely, especially I love Instagram, right? Well, I mean, some people don't like Instagram, and I haven't been here in a minute anyway, but like Instagram's so cool, especially when the algorithm will cook up things and you'll see like some of the affirmations that you say, we the urban, they're real solid for that, right? You could have, and I love what they're doing. I love their playlists also too. I would love to like meet those people. Like y'all did y'all thing on that. Y'all ate. Y'all could swipe through all the We the Urban words of affirmations, the 9, and log off this app, turn around and start shitting on yourselves. All that work just got unraveled. Literally just got unraveled. And so I say all that to say, like, you really can't, it's really difficult to combat or throw some hands up with imposter syndrome if you are literally fighting yourself in the process too and not even realizing it. So you have to really recognize your environment. So the social engineering, the people that you're around, especially sometimes when your parents, but they might be afraid for you, your partner, your friends, etc. They want to support you, but they're afraid, they're concerned for you in some of these ways, which valid, right? Then you have the story that you have in your head that, especially if you made a mistake. I know I made a mistake in college, got kicked out. It was all over the news, and I felt like for 10 years on end, I was trying to recover and recoup from this one error and using my professionalism as a way to make sure that people saw that I was good enough, or people saw that I was capable, or that, even if I had a one bad judgment, like, look, I got a career out of it too. I have a career too, right? But that was honestly how I learned how to job hunt, right? Was from that. So there's like a repeating story in your head, but as long as you maintain that story like in your head, you're literally manifesting the very thing that you don't want. So you have to be mindful about the stories that you're telling yourself, and you have to kind of it's on automated. I think it's called there's a concept called auto-suggestion that your brain will actually start to induce ideas in your head to help you out to move things faster, since it already knows what you're going to do. And that goes back over into imposter syndrome as well too. Like, girl, like if your brain is already on 100 when it knows like, okay, Bianca's about to start turning up on herself, let me help her out with some thoughts and make this a little bit faster. Your brain works with efficiency. Right? It works with efficiency. It's looking for more efficient ways for it to operate in the way that you want to. And if you are in constant questioning of yourself, if you're constantly repeating the story of trying to avoid something versus facing it in the eye, looking it directly in the eye, you are literally going to continue to be the person you don't want to be. You're just going to embody it, because your body is literally, you're training your body to do that by trying to avoid something. So there's that. And then the belief system, right? That just goes back to everything else I said, so I don't really feel like I need to do that all over again, if we're being honest. So here's my thought on here's my solution, not my thought. Here's my solution on how to address imposter syndrome, particularly if any of these, the environment, the story, how I view myself, beliefs, and any of those things kind of resonate with you, that I don't think anyone's really ever going to say. So stay with me. Has anyone in the chat? I feel like I'm just talking to myself now at this point, but there's a couple of us in here. Has anyone ever heard of subconscious reprogramming? I'm gonna wait a couple minutes. I'm gonna talk about it anyway. If you have, just throw a little thumbs up if you have. But subconscious reprogramming. Did nothing melt? Okay, I just got some vegan cheese. Well, not vegan cheese. I got dairy-free cheese, and feels buttery, and it's supposed to be shredded. I'm gonna call the police. So subconscious we hear. Okay, so subconscious programming is essentially really like resetting the program that your brain operates on. So like let's talk about like this is the same thing like a computer. Like Microsoft, we got Windows, right? Like your computer got Windows. No, we haven't heard else. Okay, so like your computer, right? It needs a hardware. Or it needs a software. It needs an operating system, child. I'm not in tech. It needs an operating system to actually follow some level of structure, right? So what do I do when I turn on? Okay, I go over to this screen. What do I do when I need to get to the internet? I go to this platform, and I'm going to tap into these resources over in my operating system. It's like basically a list of rules and directions, right? Same thing with your phone, right? Apple runs off of iOS, right? That's an operating system. What's another example? But I think you get my drift, right? It's literally an operating system. Subconscious programming, we have an operating system that we have been developed into, right? So our parents, that's from our parents. It's from our caregivers or our guardians, from our environment, that is from the ages of 0, I would say from the ages, obviously from birth, but from the ages of, I believe, 3 to about 11 is when most of our operating systems are actually completely done. So like at the age of 11, you probably weren't that much different unless you have intentionally reset your operating system. You're not probably not that much different from who you were when you were like 11. And when I think about it, I'm like, facts, right? My environment may have like adjusted how I show up, but generally speaking, you're not that much different. You have kind of gotten an understanding, a lay of the land. It's kind of like when people are like, yeah, at the age of 7 is when you know what's right from wrong. You know what's yes, what's no. And that's why when you go into your teenage years, you start to become a little bit more rebellious, because it's just like now you're over here testing stuff out. Now you go a little rogue a little bit, right? Up until your environment tells you otherwise. So I say all that to say, my solution to battling imposter syndrome, and again, I said this at the beginning of this live, that it doesn't really go away. It just transforms itself in different environments because of the fact that you're trying something new. It's a new system, right? Brainwash yourself. There, I said it. Whew, I feel like I was so scared to say it. I was so scared. Brainwash yourself. Get yourself a new operating system. And the good news about this concept of like getting a new operating system or retraining your subconscious is that like you can literally start over. Like you can literally just train yourself to believe otherwise. And in that requires a bit of delusion, which is why I recommend to my clients, be a little delusional, because y'all a little too realistic for me. And your realism is the thing that's holding you back, baby. Be a little delusional about the type of money that you want. Be a little bit delusional about the type of finances that you, the type of home that you want, the type of lifestyle that you want. Especially if you are the person that is generally unrealistic. Yes, I know that there is someone that's gonna jump on here. So my financial advisor gonna be like, "That's not how that works." Listen. This is my life. Okay, it's my life. I say be a little unrealistic. Be a little bit unrealistic about the projects or the things that you can achieve or go after. That's why people say go after the roles that you are not really that qualified for, because what they're going to do, train you? And you're going to know it anyway, right? You're going to overdo it just because that's just naturally probably what you've been doing before you got on the job anyway. So literally brainwash yourself into thinking otherwise. Now, Bianca, what does brainwashing mean? Whatever do you mean? This is what's happened for me, okay? One, you really got to be about this stuff. You got to be mindful about the content that you take in. You do. You have to be very, very diligent and very specific about the content and the conversations in the things that you think about, because it's a process, right? So in this live, I had talked about the fact that we are creatures of habit. We have repeating cycles. We have an existing operating system, right? We can reset it. It's going to look different, but we can reset it to what's going to work over into our future, right? So for me, my delusion, and this is why people say manifest, write affirmations, write it down, and then go after it. And they miss all on the steps in between. So I'm gonna give you all a couple steps. It might not be in order, and if it makes sense, great. If it doesn't, your mama. So what that looks like is, okay, one, you have to adjust your definitions or your meanings of like success or whatever thing that you're trying to go after, right? So if the idea is like, okay, when I have, like, I think people have heard this before, maybe I'm just engulfed in it, but when I get this thing, I'll be happy. When I get the job, I'll be fulfilled. When I get the thing, I'll be blah, 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 blah. Not realizing that you have to be the person that's capable of not only getting it but also handling it so you can acquire more, right? So the be comes first, not the do have, right? So you have to be do have, not have do be. Y'all caught it? Thumbs up? Maybe not? I don't know. Anyway, so if y'all got that, I need to embody the person first that does the things that will essentially acquire the results that I'm looking for. So reverse engineer the process, right? So when you're reverse engineering the process, that means, okay, great. What are the things that I want, right? So let's say, for example, I want a job that is paying, well over six figures. Let's say it's $210,000 a year. I want to move across the country. I want to I want to put a down payment on a condo. I want to, whatever it is, right? I'm just, what they say, you think small, you gotta think big. That's my favorite TikTok song right now. But that's essentially what you gotta do, right? So you start to outline those things. And I'll probably actually like link this over my link tree of like what my reverse engineering kind of looks like. But essentially you work backwards. So you work backwards, you start to outline the things that you want. So the have part. Cool. Then you start to outline the steps, right? Okay, the steps, cool. This is the logistics, right? So the logistics of what that looks like, and also being flexible with what the logistics look like, because that's also something that that triggers up imposter syndrome, is being upset with the way that you thought it was going to come out versus the way that sometimes you got to jump in, and you'll start to get the lessons as you go, right? So you start to think about the logistics, you start to think about those little milestones that get you over to the goal that you want to get. All right, bet, cool. Now the B. You really got to ask yourself, what type of person do I need to be in order for me to actually have and get those things, right? And it's likely not who you are right now, because if that was the case, then you have it. That's why I got hands, okay? So what I mean by that, like for me, first of all, let me put this, first of all, let me show y'all let me show you my lunch. So, don't laugh at me. Let me see. Wait, how do you turn this? And when it come out, y'all gonna be so jealous of me. Okay, my phone is hot. I don't know how to turn it back on. It's frozen. I don't know. I lost y'all. Yeah. Okay, we're back. Okay, so think about like the B part, right? So who do I need to be? What type of person would I need to be in order for me to get a $225,000 job, salary paying job? What type of person would I need to be that moves across the country? Like if you're from the East Coast, what type of person do I need to be if I want to put a down payment out over on a house, right? So now we're using adjectives, and make sure you're being very clear about like not, let me give you examples. I need to be responsible. I need to be urgent, right? I need to be open. I need to be courageous. I need to be risk-taking. I need to be like what do I need to embody, right? And this is literally like training your body to think about this. Like, okay, when I think about somebody that is going to move across the country, they're actually pretty courageous. They're pretty, like, that's risky. Like, that's, you bold, girl, you bold. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to embody that across mostly all the other areas of my life too. Because in me doing it, and how you do what they said, how you do anything is how you do everything. So now it's like, okay, if I'm a generally bold person, that means I need to go after it. Like, anything that I want, I get. So now I need to think in that capacity versus like, well, if it works out, or I hope it works out. No. This is what I said at the beginning of this. What society likes to do. They like to control you with low self-esteem and making, and like, oh, well, what happens if you don't, right? Even my parents did it to me with that. I was like, if y'all don't get, I got scared because I didn't want them to beat me, but don't get moved, right? Whatever you want, you get it, right? Now you just have to be it. So if I want to move, if I want this type of money, I need to be responsible. I need to be someone that is courageous. I need to be someone that is strong in communication. I need to be somebody that is capable of the responsibilities that come with a job that pays that much money, right? Because that's the one thing that doesn't get talked about, and we'll probably do a lot at some point with my homegirl, about what comes with the bag. Ooh, that's gonna be a nice title. Oh my gosh, I hope y'all like it. Anyway, so there's that. Now that we've outlined the things that we need to be, we need to embody, right? That's all you can do. That's all you focus on. So what I do, first thing in the mornings, I'm listening to YouTube videos that is focused on your mind, on my mind, right? So anything that's related to progressing forward, I'm focusing on that. Anything that's related to the things that are the skills or the areas of expertise that I need to understand in order for me to be in the space to acquire whatever gig or to put the money down on the house, I'm engulfing myself in that. And why I'm being drastic about those things is because I already know that throughout the rest of the day, what we said at the beginning, right? You can have 5 words of affirmation that pop up, and then another 200 negative words of affirmation that'll just unravel the work. So I need to jump in and literally start to brainwash myself. And that's the thing that people don't, and it works. People don't like saying it because it sounds crazy. Like, Bianca, why would you brainwash yourself? No. If you are the type of person that likes to repeat the stories in your head that are literally going to help you manifest being an imposter to begin with, you have to do so much extra additional work to backfill the other side of it. Like, it can't be, okay, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do my 5 minutes of meditation, and then I'm going to write down something nice that I'm grateful for, and then I'm going to go to work and be miserable. Or I'm going to wake up and be an asshole to my partner. Or I'm just going to drop with my shoulders and just be this person that, I'm comfortable with being because I just have a practice. I'm doing it out of habit and it's unintentional. You are subconsciously running on an operating system that has you real comfortable in a place that you don't want to be. So you have to do the work. Like, it's like, imagine asking somebody for the recipe and you don't want to cook. Baby, you have to do extra work to train your mind and get your hands updated the same way that imposter syndrome is, constantly figuring out ways to update over in your operating system to fight it, right? So, yeah, the words of affirmations are great. And I also have another thought on how to improve those. Can you post some suggestions on YouTube videos? Yeah, sure. I can do that. You literally have to kind of jump in and only focus on those things. It might make you seem very, very rigid. And I know some people have found me to be very, very, like, if there's a topic that I'm really, really, like, looking to understand, I'm engulfed in it. Because I also have a reason behind it. I don't just jump into stuff just to not jump into it. But if there are other reasons, if there are other like things that are gonna hold on to me emotionally, I'm jumping in it, right? I'm all about it. And I know it's like that's not realistic. Well, I didn't sign up for realism. I didn't. And if we signed up for realism, then we would just continue to do what it is that we're doing right now and be okay with the results that we have right now. And that's the reason why we're not happy with it. We're not happy with how we're showing up. We are literally remanifesting the imposter syndrome by trying to avoid it, because our brain is literally only hearing you say, imposter, imposter. Now they're looking for evidence. So if I'm looking for evidence for something else on the other side of it, I need to literally train my brain to look at other things. I need to train my brain to look and understand how I can embody and be successful. I need to train my brain that's going to communicate to the rest of my body that for the rest of the day, I'm going to just show up like this person, and maybe I'm just an actress. That's another thing. People are just like, don't fake it until you make it. Fake it. Fake it. Fake it, because your body needs practice. That's what they're not saying. Your body needs practice, and you need to practice emotional regulation. You need to practice shifting the thoughts that come in your head. Like, literally, it's like whack-a-mole until it gets easier. And the idea that this is just supposed to be a light switch and I'm all of a sudden not an imposter, I'm confident, I'm this, it's bullshit. They lied to all of us. You have to do drastic work. I'm 31 years old, okay? We're unraveling 31 years of entire life experiences that probably I'm not even really even fully aware of. So the idea of me being like, okay, let me write down 5 little words of affirmations for the day, and I'm going to be on my way. And then I'm over here, I got an attitude, I'm rolling my eyes at managers or rolling my eyes over at things or whatever the case is. And I've been on the app too long, and it's probably true. But yeah, like me being a nasty person, or just having the thought of being in this belief system that like I can't get the things that I want. So yeah, I'm going to have to do the extra legwork to make sure that at least I can at least be the person that I set out to be, at least put myself in position. And that's not anybody else's responsibility except for my own. That's the thing. So it's like, I truly firmly believe that in order to combat, and it's not to get rid of it, it's to be able to fight it, is that you literally have to brainwash yourself to think otherwise. You have to train your brain to believe and to see and start to pick up on evidence that you're actually that girl, or pick up on evidence that you're actually that guy or that person, right? So here's another thought with this is hot, y'all. Okay, my piece is not done yet. Okay, let me sit down. Ooh, child, my top lip sweaty. I'll sit right here. Jeez, child. So let's say, for example, what was I just talking about? I got hot in here. Oh, words of affirmations. Here we go. So let's say with words of affirmation, actually our brains are a lot smarter than us writing something down on a piece of paper. Like, you was smart, you was kind, you was loyal, right? Our brains are actually a lot smarter than that if they have too much evidence, especially if you trained your body to find other evidence of evidence of things that you don't want to be. Right? So you can say, oh, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, etc., X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, for years, you have been doing everything in your power to prove to yourself that you're not something. Meanwhile, your body is just only paying to the things that you are trying not to be. Right? So now you're really, like, you're truly training your body how to, like, to be a fake, to be an imposter. With words of affirmations in particular, here's what you can do to smarten up. Write evidence underneath the affirmation of things that you have done. Right? So let's say, for example, how do I want to say? Let's say, for example, you're going after a new role, right? You're going after a VP role, right? And you already know that you're a VP. You're just not getting paid VP money, right? You're not getting paid VP money, but you know that you have the capacity. You know that you're capable. And so let's say you write down this affirmation that I'm the VP of marketing over at, I don't know, I'm making stuff up, so stay with me. But you also write an I am in present statements. That's also something that your body pays attention to, versus like you creating a distance or a resistance between what you're not and what you want to be. You just start to embody. How to start embodying what you want is by speaking in the present as if it already happened, right? That's actually a real thing. Because you start to look for it. Your body starts to look for it. And when you write down, okay, like I am, an excellent VP of marketing at my company, right? And you write down underneath every piece of evidence that would prove that. Literally prove it. You just write down the list, because now when you go down underneath it and you read it and you be like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I wasn't just cap. It wasn't cap. It's right. It's true. Right? Like, you write down evidence, or I'm an excellent, like, okay, let's do something very, very minimum, right? I'm an excellent friend, right? I'm a really good girlfriend to my friends, right? And it's just like, I show up for folks. I jump on FaceTime. I send them silly pictures. We're vulnerable with each other. We have amazing lunches. I ask them. They give me feedback on where I can be better. They're honest with me. I'm honest with them. I feel good. I feel capable. I feel confident. You have actual receipts of how you have been a good person or a good girlfriend. So you do the same things for the things that you want, to help your mind start to reprogram into a different direction. It is not enough to write down, I am that girl, and sit down and walk away. Because your body going to be like, okay, girl, if you say so. If you say so. But then it's just like, no. Right, look at the receipts. And everybody going to be like, true. Okay. I'll let you live. I'll let you cook. Now your body starts to go on autopilot. Now it begins to understand that you start to go on autopilot. Now you don't start to accept things that you once in your previous life, a previous embodiment, you no longer accept it anymore, because that's not who you are anymore. You're not that person. Is this hitting? Like I said, I have been avoiding everything in my power to do, like, the how you say, what I in my past life have deemed to be I would say, I don't want to say fluffy content, but I'm just realizing how much when I decide, and that, like, when I make up my own mind, everything comes true. Whether my timing is different, y'all, like, I'll be over here having conversations with God and the universe, like, y'all play, but let me know when I'm ready, I guess. But it's true. You literally, when you make up the rule and you decide, and your decision and you practice this and you choose every single day. Maybe you have to re-decide every other day or every other minute. Whatever it is that you need to do, you have to brainwash yourself into believing that you are the person that you want to become, and that you're already that person. This is what they're going to tell you to just write down, journal, all the nice little self-care, quote, like the little graphics and stuff, right? The little, okay, let me add this, and you save it, and then you walk away from it. No, this is intentional work. My day, particularly just because as a new entrepreneur, I've had to brainwash myself into believing that I can do this. Because it's a very, very different skill set from being in corporate America. So I get, like, things are transferable, but I said this over in the beginning of the live, like, when you shift environments that challenge or put your skills to the test, the question still comes up, like, ooh, can I do this? Or okay, I can do this. And then it's over time, it's like, okay, I can do this. Maybe I'll try this. And you start to redefine the meaning of failure a little bit differently, because you need the information. So you're a lot more willing to fail if you're going to get the lesson and the information to be better, because the type of person that's going to get it, right? Hey, boo. Hey, boo. But the type of person that's going to get it, they're going to look failure, or they're going to look at the resistance directly in the eye. They're going to look at imposter syndrome directly in the eye, face it, go through it, and realize it wasn't really even that deep. A lot of these things, our minds play tricks on us. They do. And then you get more information, then you get new insights, then you get new clarity, and next thing you know, you are already operating as that person, and you didn't have to intentionally do it. That's just who you are now. Ain't nobody saying nothing in the chat to me, so I feel like I'm just talking to myself. So y'all rude. That's how I feel. Okay, maybe I did. Let me scroll. Not me being goofy. Ew. Oh, hey y'all. Yes, this is right on time. Okay, great. Hey, Bianca. Never heard of that part of the mix, since I will be adding to my routine. Please do. I love this. Thank you, friend. Thank you so much. Okay, great. I just be thinking it's me on this live. I ain't gonna be crying on the live like Tyrese, but I do my best. But yeah, anyway, so Yeah, so I think I got derailed a little bit, but my brainwashing that I've done for the last year, 6 months, especially as an entrepreneur, where it's like I'm creating my own personal structure for my day to day. I am having to be intentional and follow my own rules. I make the rules, and it's just like it sounds good in theory until you got to put it into practice. It's just like, ooh, child. But that also means that my mind has to change about it. The way that I operate, where me waiting for someone to give me something to do is dead, it's gone. I have to do. I know what I have to do. And that's another thing. Imposter syndrome. What is that? Yeah. So imposter syndrome, very much so, is avoiding the things that we already know that we need to do. We're just too afraid. Or we're just creating more resistance. My routine. Okay, so even this morning. Yesterday morning. And also, I'm not perfect at it. Just want to make sure I'm signaling that. Like, some days I fall off, but I'm gonna jump back on. But I'm gonna look at a month and know that I did 26 out of the 31 days I was on it, looking like a different person on paper when I look at the receipts for myself. But my routine generally is I'm waking up in the morning at whatever time that is. I target 6 or 7 a.m. Target, but you know that's snooze button. But I target that. First thing I'll do is roll over, pick up my phone. I'll avoid Instagram, and I'll go straight to YouTube. And I have a playlist of, the algorithm already kind of cooks things up for me, but I'm listening to things almost within like the first 5 to 10 minutes or the first 30 minutes of me waking up, because that's actually when your brain is most impressionable. It's science. I make that. The scientists said that, okay? And so I'm listening to anything from, whoever my spirit is kind of coming up, but the algorithm will probably throw over, Abraham Hicks, or probably throw over Louise Hayes, Mel Robbins, Lewis Ho. Is that his name? Lewis Ho? I think he's a football player. It's not Ho. Howis. I call Lewis a Ho. I'm so sorry, Lewis. I hope he never sees his live child. You don't know me. That's so silly. But I'll listen to one of them, right? Or I'll listen to, who else? Who else? Another person. I know people have mixed reviews on him, but Steve Harvey be having things to say, especially when it comes to his journey and his overall development. And even if you don't like the message or take the message, something to consider. As much as just like, I would never listen to him. Take the message and go. Okay? Or I'll listen to, so I'll listen to that, right? If I'm working out, I'm listening. If I'm working out, I generally don't listen to that much music. I'm only listening to maybe like I got an hour workout, I'll probably listen to like 15 minutes of music. Sounds ridiculous, but it's true. I'm probably listening to like some sort of like, whether it's like a motivation or it is a mindset discussion, a podcast, or it is something that's related to something that I want to learn. I'm doing it during that time. Just because I feel my body just being a lot more receptive or open to the things that I want to learn or want to understand and receive. Like even as I'm walking and I'm listening to something on how to improve as a coach, or how to improve the candidate experience, or how to improve the way that I articulate my thoughts. And then I'm like, ooh, okay, that's a good diet. A lot of my ideas come out when I'm working out or if I'm in the shower. Ooh, that's another thing. When I have a waterproof notepad in the shower. So when I take a shower, I'm actually writing down things or writing affirmations or writing things that I just feel whatever I'm feeling about. I feel like I should make like an Amazon store, just like a Bianca's reprogramming system. But you can get that off of Amazon for like $10. But it's like literally a pad and a waterproof pad and pencil, and I'm writing things down, ideas. I journal. My homegirl got me the 5-minute journal. The 5-minute journal, and I actually transitioned over into the app, because the app actually sends over notifications to me and asks me in the morning, hey, what are you grateful for? And I go through that routine. And then at the end of the day, it's like, hey, what's something amazing that's happened today? So you're literally focusing yourself over on the positive and how you showed up, right? So there's that piece of it. I'm journaling. I read A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Is it Tolle or Tolle? I've seen 4 different people say different names. So I'm going to say Eckhart Tolle, and whatever book that I decide to read, and then I just get to work. I also have, last thing. Since I'm focused on second half of the year work. Oh, my pizza. Are you okay? Okay, great. Gosh, I almost thought I burnt my pizza. And then the last thing is I have pulled together an actual road. I actually developed a roadmap for myself for what I'm focusing in on for the rest of the year to keep myself focused. Literally, not even kidding. All right, so full on focus. I have it on my Google Docs. I printed it out. And I look at it at least 2-3 times a day. And then on a weekly basis, I might do like a strong, like, let's do a brain dump. Like, your brain is actually not supposed to take in so much information without it without it having some sort of release. Kind of like our body, we need to release, use the restroom. Same thing with the brain. And so that actually requires you to remove the overwhelm that you probably get from managing imposter syndrome while also going after it by actually just putting your thoughts on paper and taking a look at it objectively and just being curious about it. So again, I know I gave you a lot. This is a process for me that has developed over time. It's not all in one day that I was like, oh, just jump on into it. That's actually probably like one of the worst ways to do it. But consistency is what matters. You dedicate 20 minutes the first time around. Next thing you know, it's 30 minutes. Next thing you know, you're adding on new things. Next thing you realize, like, especially if you realize that you're talking yourself crazy, that's the time for you to be like, okay, cool, let me look at my journal. Or what's a better thought? Like, catch yourself when you're saying it, especially if you start to ruminate, you start to kind of spin into the cycle. Somebody piss you off, and next thing you know, it's like, or somebody critique your work, ooh, and then you spiral, child. Like, literally, that's the time for you to be like, okay, let me get my 10 seconds of just talking whatever crap I was talking about, but what's a better thought? And let's run with that. Who do I need to be in this moment? And not, why did that person do that to me? Who do I need to be in this moment to respond the best way I need to respond? Right? And so please save this live on your page. Okay, I'm going to save it. Thank you for the feedback, because I don't know if y'all care about me talking all day, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the person. But yeah, so that's what my day looks like. I literally, as I was working out, very dramatic, but I worked out with my plan in front of me. Right. Like I was on the treadmill, and I literally had this sheet of paper covering the time as well, because sometimes when I'm watching the time as I'm running or I'm walking on an incline, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do 30 seconds. And then I was like, well, let me distract myself with something that's actually a little bit more positive in the spirit of brainwashing. So I have my entire, second half of the year plan. Again, this is not just professional stuff. This is just how I want to design my life. And I covered the time and the calories or everything that was burnt. And I'm just reading it. And I'm reading it over and over and over again. I also highlighted the things that are probably most pressing. But that's essential. I hope that answers your question in terms of what my routine looks like. And at night, what do I do at night? At night, sometimes I just fall asleep. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't really figured out the nighttime routine. On some days, on my best days, I'll tell you what, on regular days, I might just fall asleep or I'm watching TV because I need to just let my brain not think about anything in particular and just let it get a break. Kind of like when you need to just turn off your computer. Wow, we're really all MacBooks. But on a good night, I'll read it. I'll read my plan again, or I'll visualize. I also think meditations that are focused on visualization are really, really valid too, because at that point it's like, actually, you know what? I'm gonna post a video I found on TikTok that she actually described it very, very well in terms of what you can do next, of just like how to practice a visualization of yourself, like literally step by step, you doing it. And I have, in the middle of the day or at night, I'm like, okay, a year from now, 10 years from now, what does this look like? I wake up and I'm having a random day. A year from now, 10 years from now, what does that look like? It looks like me waking up. I'm in this beautiful, loft apartment, maybe, or a condo. If it's 10 years, 1 year, who knows, right? I'm in this apartment. It's sun pouring in. I'm waking up. Is there it's like the questions you ask. Is there, what does the apartment look like? What are you wearing? How do you feel? Also, the feeling piece. How do you feel? Do you feel anxious, or do you feel at peace? And then when you say at peace, you start to feel the feeling. So you're practicing it. And so now you're practicing being the person that's at peace, right? Okay, cool. What does she do? Does she work out? What does her workout clothes look like? Okay, cool. Is there a person? Is there a significant other in the picture? Where he at? What he doing? Right? He making breakfast? He giving you flowers? Y'all going on a trip? Okay. Where are you working out at? Are you taking a hike? Okay. Do you talk to your parents? Okay, great. Are you getting in your car? What kind of car? What kind of car you got? Okay, cool. As you're driving, what are you thinking about? What music is playing? What are you listening to? Like, literally, it sounds like you're writing a movie. And that's essentially what my overall suggestion in this live, and I will save it on the page, is write your own movie. Write your own movie and practice every scene of your movie. And you'll start to realize that imposter syndrome doesn't really have that big a role. And I will end there. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow. You know, I'm gonna eat my pizza and think about this. But yeah, thanks for joining my live. And if there are any other topics or things that you feel like would be valuable that you want to hear from me, I have been, obviously y'all know I'm a career coach, but I do feel like a lot of this is designing your life and making your career work for it, or collaborate with it. So the collaboration piece requires like the person to be that person to make it happen. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about this. I'm going to save this over on my page, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye, y'all.